hang on for intro.
Oh, that's
Rockin' with the Queen AB, PFT tonight. Since you're rockin' with the Queen AB, PFT tonight. Motivation, inspiration, cause you know how we do it in the day. Good conversation, no hesitation. Now you're rockin' with the Queen. Rockin' with the Queen AB, PFT tonight. Since you're rockin' with the Queen AB, PFT tonight.
You are now rocking with the Queen, and it's time to get real.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to 30, Flirty, and Thriving. It's your girl, AB and Jaylyn. I'm going to go ahead. Hey. I'm going to let everybody, I'm going to go around the table, and we have two guests with us today. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and we're going to get right into it. So to my left, I have
Jamie.
That was super simple. All right. And to my right,
Alex.
Okay, cool. So Jamie and Alex. And basically what the show is going to be about is kind of like the just men and women. Men are from, where are we from? Venus?
Yeah.
Are we from Venus or Mars? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Damn. We just ain't from the same damn planet.
Right.
So we're going to talk about it. So Alex has a lifestyle vlog, we'll call it.
Yeah.
It's more video
more
now.
video, for sure.
And website called Ultimate Bachelor, which is really just for shock value, he likes to always say. But I love it because it kind of, I think it brings a question to me anyway that I kind of want to talk about today is, and I'm going to hit you and Jamie both with this question right off bat, is what does it mean to be an Ultimate Bachelor?
Are you going to hit me with my own stuff?
Yes.
On your stuff? Okay.
That's exactly what this is for.
You want me to start, Jamie, or you?
No, you go ahead.
Yeah.
I see you trying to jump into anything. I think Ultimate Bachelor, are you talking about for the purpose of my blog or in
I'm
general?
talking about just your personal belief. Like, what do you think it means to be a good guy, like an ultimate bachelor?
I guess it's the same thing for my blog as it is for my thought,
Right.
because to me it's being informed about yourself, but also about women, about your surroundings. I feel like guys so often don't put thought into the things they're doing, right? A lot of guys are really selfish. A lot of women are selfish too, but for the purpose of this, guys get selfish and forget to think about what could help them succeed, right? A lot of times understanding women better will get you where you want to be with women a lot better. Understanding how the world works and your lifestyle and the lifestyle you want better helps you get to that lifestyle better. So I would say for that, it's understanding what's going on around you and taking advantage of it.
So being self-aware and also aware of your surroundings and the women that you are dealing with.
And then taking advantage of the opportunities that are brought to you, whether that be with the women you want or the job you want or the life you want or whatever.
Okay, so follow-up question. How do you take advantage of those opportunities? Like, how do you, first of all, if you're saying understanding what women want, how do you go about understand? That's like the age-old question. Everybody wants to know how women work and what they want, so how do you go about that?
I think that's the whole purpose of my blog is just having the conversation, right? Because every woman's going to be different. Every guy's going to be different. You're having, like, if Jamie was my best friend, right? Me and him might have a conversation that could apply to 10 other guys, but guys don't really sit in a room or write in a magazine or write on Facebook or write in a blog like women do most times. So sharing that information, you can get a Men's Health or get a GQ, but how relatable are those guys? Whereas women can sit in a room and have a conversation with 6 girls, come out of that room and with some valuable information, even though it might have just been gossip. So,
Right. I feel like the last part was a jab. Like, what you mean?
Yeah,
And I was like, wait a minute. What you mean? Even though it might have just been gossip. Wait, what? I was with you until that last line.
Right. I was like, yeah.
and then once again, here's the purpose of my blog is having conversations that people don't want to have. They don't want to have real conversations.
Okay, great. So, Jamie, now what do you think it means to be the ultimate bachelor or an ultimate bachelor?
I think I would say being an ultimate bachelor would be, it's just kind of like a stage in life where you're trying to learn about yourself and your environment and, building relationship with others and actually unlearning toxic ways.
I like that, unlearning toxic ways.
Yeah, and you know, definitely it's a lot of behavioral, you know, things that you have to learn about others, and just finding out how you interact with different women, different people, you know, kind of finding out, you know, different women's love language, stuff like that. So
Speaking like keywords and shit. Love
Right.
language, unlearning toxic. I'm like, damn.
Yes.
so that's something that I would say is really just like, it's like school all over again. You just learning yourself, especially as you're growing up, you evolve as well, you know.
School of life. I like it. So I find it interesting that neither one of you said having a 6-figure job or having a credit score of 800 or having a Benz or like none of that. Like because I feel like a lot of people feel like that's the ultimate bachelor. The ultimate bachelor has a washboard stomach, 6-figure salary, a really nice car. I didn't hear y'all talk about that. I heard you talking about taking advantage of opportunities to have your best career and things like that.
Right.
Do you think that those things are important? Do you think that those things contribute to making you an ultimate bachelor?
I will speak on that. I would say yes. I wouldn't say all the, you know, monetary things. I would say more so of like, you know, going to the gym, working out, just building your self-confidence. That goes with, you know, kind of just learning about yourself and building yourself up for real, and just kind of becoming a better bachelor and a better man, or, you know, husband, brother, son, whatever the case may be. But yeah, I think that definitely plays a factor into things. And I mean, the financial things are all right, but they're always there. They always will come.
I mean, I'd go with yes. I think they do. I think it's what makes you attractive, right? If you're going after a girl that likes nicer things, or you like nicer things, then I mean, my salary is going to matter, right? So I'll speak to personally. I go to the gym every day, 5 days a week at least, because I'm 9 times out of 10 am trying to attract a woman that cares about the way I look.
So you want a woman who, I thought you were going to say, I want a woman who cares about the way she looks. You want a woman who cares about how you look.
Yeah, I mean, once again, we talk about the conversations people don't want to have. Like, guys want to be wanted too. Like, I want, you know, when I walk in a room, girls will go, oh,
I feel like guys,
look at Buddy.
I feel like girls have a reputation for being shallow, but the more conversations I have
Who
like
does?
this, the girls have a reputation for being shallow,
really?
but I feel like the more conversations I have like this, the more I realize how much more men I think are shallow than women.
Absolutely.
That's crazy to me. Like, this is
I
news
need
to
you
me.
to explain what you mean by shallow, because
Like,
I might agree with you,
so,
but
like, guys are really like about looks way more than women. They're about how
The
their
way they
women
look?
looks, how they look. Yeah, they're just about the surface
Their
value
appearance
of
and
like what a
everything.
person looks like and what they look like. I thought women were supposed to be that way.
I thought I'm confused on that, because I thought women were always saying they don't care the way as much the way a guy looks as guys care about the way a woman looks.
Well, no, to that point, I've had this conversation before where it's like you'll see even on TV, even anywhere you look in society, beautiful women will end up with like the ugly guy because he's funny or he has money.
Yep.
Doesn't mean they don't necessarily care about looks, but I just thought that
Right.
women had a reputation for being more shallow. But
I don't. Oh, I guess along those lines, yeah, that's true.
But
Like gold digging, you mean?
yeah, I mean, well,
I mean, that's.
Yeah,
I'm just
that's
trying
There's
to.
some
part
men
of
out
it.
there
Yeah,
like
I
that.
mean-
There's definitely some men out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that it's all about, with dudes, it's all about building this persona. So that goes with, you know, jewelry, how you look, going into the gym. It's basically just creating this persona to attract more women.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
That's just animalistic nature, I think,
Right.
though.
Yeah.
Like, you just peacocking. Like,
You really got to understand, like, all the events that, you know, that we go to, we're going for the women, you know, like if we're going to the club or you going to some event, some basketball
point.
game, you know, it's the
That's
women bring the men out.
crazy. That
You
is
know,
true.
that's the reason why you go to the club, and
club.
it's
Yeah.
Women
free.
are free.
Yeah, women
men
are free
pay
till
$50.
11:30. You know, because that's just what
Right.
it is.
And then on top of that, I mean, think about it. If women care so much more, I shouldn't say care so much more, but put so much more time into the way they look than men do, right? So if you're a guy and you do care about that, you're gonna have a step ahead. You know what I mean? You're gonna be better than some guys that aren't.
This is true.
Look at bottle service. You know, that's what we do it for. We're not doing it for dudes.
Don't walk my bottle over without the firecrackers on.
Yeah, I don't want it. Send
Bro,
it back.
like, go back.
Yeah, go
turn
back.
my firecrackers on and let me get that.
Yeah,
I
well, most
need
definitely.
everyone to see
Right.
where the bottle's coming.
Like, you know what? Bring the bottles where everybody else start coming in.
Yeah. Don't bring that shit when nobody's here.
Yeah,
Right.
nah, I'm good.
Right.
I'm
Wait till the
good.
club is packed.
Right.
Thank you.
We pre-gamed. I'm good.
Yeah.
This is all show now.
Right.
Oh my god. That's
Light it
crazy.
up.
Light it up.
That's ring my damn bell. Hear that your own bell. Okay, so having said that, so I'm gonna flip it a little bit, and I'm gonna ask both of y'all, and then we'll get to me and Jalen, and I'll start with you, Jamie. What do you think makes the ultimate bachelorette? What do you think makes the highly coveted woman?
Obviously, it varies with men. But I would say just a woman that has everything in order as far as, goals, ambition, her career, the looks. I mean, for most dudes, they really want something that no strings attached, doesn't really have any attachments. So some dudes might look for a girl that doesn't have any children or doesn't have a ex. So I think those are some of the materialistic things that men look for. You know?
Okay.
That's kind of realistic, though.
Yeah.
It's like every day. I mean, nowadays people have children and people date, and so it's kind of like
So it's unrealistic, or it's realistic? Because you said
unrealistic.
Oh yeah.
We could go there. I could answer first, or we could go there. I don't know if it's unrealistic. I just think the older you get, it just becomes a fact of life.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like, this is not my answer to the question, but to me, I'm saying,
Noted.
I'm saying if a girl hasn't been through some stuff by the time she's like 30, like, what have you been doing? Like, you're crazy then.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait. Are you
Yeah,
saying that,
definitely.
or is like?
I'm saying that if you haven't been
No,
if you haven't been through some stuff by the time you're 30, then like why have you not
Because
been
maybe
in a,
they was focused. Maybe they were focused on getting their career. Maybe they were saving them. Maybe they was.
I think that's an
traveling,
anomaly then.
maybe
I think
it is. I do
because if
think
you
it's
haven't
very
been in a
rare.
serious relationship,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to be married with kids and all this stuff, but I'm saying if you haven't been through some stuff that some guys would like look down upon, then I don't want you if you haven't been through some of that stuff.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
But
I would say it's sketchy, and it's just like a storm is coming.
Yeah.
And you're going to be the person in the very bad
this will
news.
go into my answer, but yeah.
I feel like that's really interesting because, like, just from my perspective, and I always looked at it as like an insecurity issue of my own. Is thinking that if I find a dude who's about my age and he doesn't have either kids, even though I really don't want anybody with kids, but it's besides the point. The point is that if they don't, and they haven't had any, like you said, any like real life kind of experience, then I'm like, okay, you have no idea what real life is like. You wouldn't understand me.
Exactly.
Like, you got your shit together. It's not gonna work
I'm
out.
just the practice.
Yeah. So I'm like, no. But okay, so we can jump into.
So my answer would be, and a lot goes with stereotypes, right? A lot of times people think women are the ones that are supposed to be so emotionally stable versus guys and all these things. And I would say
Women are supposed to be more emotionally stable?
Did I say it wrong? Yeah, women are supposed to be more emotionally stable than guys. And
Well, no. I thought that women were emotionally unstable. No?
I don't think so. I think they're supposed to be able to more in touch with it and things like that. Are supposed to be.
Yeah.
Supposed to be.
More
But,
in touch, not necessarily stable.
I'm not, if you think I'm gonna sit right here and call women crazy, you crazy. You crazy. I called you crazy. I called you crazy.
I would say women have more experience with their emotions. Men, we kind of tend to not cope with our emotions. So,
Sure.
When we deal with that adversity and get into those situations, we kind of just don't know what to do with ourselves.
Yeah. So to me, it's I want someone who has some life experience. It doesn't have to be this, that, or another, but just have your own life together. Like he said, I mean, have a plan. Have looks and your personality. That should be a given. Like I'm not looking at nobody and calling her the ultimate bachelorette if she doesn't look attractive, and if she, if I can't chill with her more than just in the bedroom, like that goes without saying. So that's not something I'm gonna bring up for this as much as I would say, yeah, you got to have a plan. Like, you know, what are you doing for work now, or what's your plan for work? Where do you see yourself going? And it's scary because, and everyone does this, like even on a first date, you're like, you know, where could I see myself with this person in like 2 years and 5 years? And that's the way a guy makes a decision straight up. It's like, could this girl meet my mom? Like for real, like when I can see that.
But that's
like,
how it is for
Yeah.
at least for me.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
If I just, you know, talk to a guy, give him a little attention, then I'm thinking in the back of my head, can I bring them home to my parents?
Right, and well, I'm just saying for a guy, when he says a guy wants nothing, with no strings attached, he meant it different. But I'm saying a guy makes a decision on what you're gonna be to him, like right away, based on everything he finds out right then. And I think that's underplayed and underthought about for women a lot of times, right? Like you guys think that guys want you to act a certain way, right? So, not necessarily you two, but women think that. And so they'll act a way that they're not when the real them probably would have got them a lot farther or would have made them not a side piece or something
Ladies,
like that.
y'all hear that? Don't put on a show, just be yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and guys are the same way, though, because guys will, like, I say this all the time. I'm like, I'm not about to flash at some girl because I'm not going to flash for her in a month. I'm going to show her exactly right now what I'll be in a month, right? And here's the thing. She'll meet me, and then she'll go date some guy that flashes for her, and then she'll be right back to me because my normal is better than his normal. I just didn't flash.
Right.
And so it always works out like that. And I think the same thing for women. Like, they want to let a guy do whatever in the bedroom, or she wants to, like, you know, act cool and do all this stuff when that's not the real her. In a month, he's done with you the same way.
Yeah.
I see a lot of women go through that, where each relationship they're a different person.
And then wonder what happened.
Yep.
Like, why didn't he like me? Because it's not you.
Yeah, that's not true at all. And then it's just like a surprise, you know, when just some of the actions that you do. It's just like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, you don't know me. Well, you've never been this person at all. So,
Right.
I mean, you don't really know yourself. So
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to.
that really what it boils down to is just like you not really being ready to be in a relationship, not knowing yourself, and then you get into something, and it's just a lot of uncertainty in there. So.
And I think that leads into what I was going to ask Jalen about, what you feel like the ultimate bachelorette is. Like, you know, those qualities that possess. I feel like a lot of that is just knowing yourself and being true and authentic to yourself and not switching it up depending on who you're with, but just really owning your shit regardless. But what do you think?
You were saying everything pretty much, you know, just having yourself together and knowing what you want and knowing your worth pretty much. That's what it boils down to for me. Like he was saying, Alex, you don't have to just settle for less and act like somebody that you're not to get the person that you think is the ultimate bachelor.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So really just knowing your worth, have a plan, and just be you.
Right. And I think ultimately just that authenticity is going to shine through. I did a post a few weeks ago, I think, about when I was younger and how I was like in this weird place in my life where I wasn't my best self, but I was kind of going through some things. And there's a lot of people I came across during that time in my life who really didn't give me a second look or anything. And now they see me and it's like, oh, back then hoes didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They all on me. I'm like, what? Where y'all was
It's like that though.
I'm like, I was going through a thing. Fuck y'all. I knew I was hot then. Y'all ain't see it.
I don't know what just happened. I'm just going to let you have this moment. Enjoy that one.
Yes. I'm with you, girl. I'm with you.
Thank you. I'm like, listen. But my point is that I think that at the time, it wasn't so much of like, I wasn't necessarily the ultimate bachelor because I didn't have a nice house or a nice car. I didn't have my shit together. It was because I wasn't secure in myself. I didn't. I think that's more of what it was. And then now it's like, wow, Amber, you're so confident. You seem to have it all together. Da, da, da.
Yep.
I'm like, so I think but it took me a long time to come into that, and that's why I think that's ultimately the most important thing. I think just being your best self, being your most authentic self, regardless of who you're at, you know, who you're around, or who you're at, where you're at, who you're around, like all of that stuff. Which kind of brings me to the next thing I wanted to touch briefly on was because this is 30, Flirty, and Thriving, and this show kind of derived from me feeling like I'm kind of at my prime in life, like the best that I've ever been. I feel great. I feel super confident in myself and being authentic. And I was thinking about having had these conversations with a lot of 30-something-year-old men and how they feel like they're declining and they were really in their prime earlier in life. Hey, not you,
What?
necessarily. I'm just talking in general. No, seriously though. So they say that men mature or women mature faster than men. Do we also, like, are they in their prime in their 20s, high school? Like, what do you think it is? And do you feel like women are in their prime in their, like, 30s or 40 or 20s? Or, like, what do you think? Just when do you think that each sex, like, for the most part, generally speaking, reaches their prime?
What do you think, Jamie?
Yeah, Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie.
Speaking to the mic.
I would say for males, I would say like mid-20s. I would say that.
What's a prime? Can we define prime?
I mean, where you just feel like you're at your best self, like you're hot, like you feel good, you're got everything. Listen, let's just, I mean, be honest. So men in their 20s, usually at this point, they have a good career. They have all their hair. They are in good shape. That was not another jab, I swear. That was not another.
Well, this was fun. I'm out.
It wasn't a jab, but I know that's an insecurity for a lot of men. So they have all their hair. They, you know, and they're still like, they're just kind of, they feel good. A lot of guys too, especially if they were hot in high school or in college, they were a ball player or whatever, then they still coming off of that and they're like, yeah, I'm still the man. I got this great career. I did da. And women, I think, are still coming into themselves. I think it takes us a longer time to become confident with our bodies. I think it takes us a longer time to become confident with who we are as a person. I think it takes us longer to come to terms with where we are in our career or to be in a place where we feel comfortable or we feel successful. I think men progress, well, I know men progress quicker in the workforce and they make more and all of that. So women don't typically do that, I think, until they're 30. So genetically or biologically speaking, we reach our sexual prime in our 30s, where I think men are in their sexual prime in their 20s. So obviously my response is that I think women reach their prime in their like 30s and men are in their 20s. But I just kind of wanted to see what the dialogue is on that and what everyone's thoughts are.
Yeah, I definitely would say with men, it would be mid to late 20s. I feel like with men, we crash early. So we get all the downside and all the bad experiences out the way, and then we start to pick ourselves up and really start to come to terms on getting to know ourselves and get out of our childish ways as well. So I think for men, that would be the prime age. Women, I definitely would say 30s, definitely early 30s. Women, definitely, I think it takes a little bit longer for them. 20s can be rough for women.
At facts.
Yeah.
Fucking ding ding.
You know, just trying to figure out your career, what you want to do, where you want to go. You know, relationships with friends. So that kind of, it's just a very evolving stage for women, I would say.
Right. So, Alex, what you, because I feel like you got something to say about that.
It's tough because I think you really have to define like what the prime is, because when I look at what the prime is, to me, I mean, I've never had it better than I have it now. I mean, a lot of that goes into like the work I put into it, but I mean, I get bread. So, and I wasn't getting this kind of bread then. I mean, I've always done medical device sales, so I've made good money, but still make more than I ever did. I mean, I get enough attention from women to feel like I'm still doing something. My hair is not all there, but I took care of that.
But you feel good, but you're confident in where you're at now. You don't feel like...
I think what happens is, I mean, if we're talking specifically the hair thing, I think that in things like that, you kind of grow out of worrying about that, right? So, like, for me, like, I was always, like, on the side of, like, as soon as I have like anything, I'm just gonna shave it off, right? And so I never really felt like I missed a step. I was never like holding on to something and like watching it go back and all this. So what are you smiling at over there, engineer lady? Can she hear
like,
us?
I'm not. She's like, I'm not. Nope.
Nope,
nope.
she's not.
Look at her boo.
Yeah. So anyways, so I was never really like trying to hold on to it like that. So I think that makes a big difference for me. But
you have peers. So do you feel like, based on the conversations you've had with your male friends or counterparts or what have you, do you feel like men kind of get in this weird space in their 30s? Because they say that men aren't really ready to settle down and be like a good man to a woman until like the mid to late 30s. Because then it's like, I've had my fun, I fucked up, I did all this, whatever, and I'm like,
I was gonna get at before I got caught on the hair thing.
There.
Well, I got caught on the hair thing. Before I got caught on that, I was gonna say I think your prime comes from the experiences, just like I said before.
Yeah.
Like I was married, divorced, figured out about myself, and so once I got single again, I'm like, I've got all this knowledge in my back pocket. I've got money to be able to enjoy the things I want to be able to enjoy and pursue the things I want to pursue, entertain the type of women I'd want to entertain and do all those things. So I can't act like before I got married, I was better than now. And obviously marriage didn't go like I wanted it to, so can't act like I was better then. And now I've got all that with me to be able to relate to who. So my prime is now. But you may have a guy that his prime may be at 25. You may have a guy who you get that midlife crisis. Your prime may not be till you're 43. So I think it's a situation more than it is an age or a characteristic.
I was just saying, generally speaking.
I know it's tough.
Yeah, it is hard because everyone is different, though. Everyone really is different. Life experience is different. What?
I was gonna say, I do feel like women have more, like coming into, like you guys said, later though. Yeah, for sure.
I definitely, I just based on conversations I've had, like reading stuff myself, I just feel like that's for most women that's true. So we're about halfway through. What I'm gonna do is take a minute to play a song, and also Facebook people, if you're watching, go ahead and drop some questions, comments, whatever in the live. But we're going to play, it's called Top 10 by Black Lion Society. And if you happen to listen to, I think it's Hot 101.7. Let me just double check. 107.5, go ahead and request that they play that song too. Top 10 by Black Lion Society.
In the world, I be top 10. No need for stress, cause I'm top 10. See me in my best, top 10. So historic when I'm stepping in my top 10s. Top 10s, 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 top 10s. Campaign hairstyling in my top 10s. Siblings got them on deck, I need about 10. They know what's going down when I walk in. Hit the key in my 10s, about to drop 10. This Detroit way of living, something different.
You know,
like we got your spirit up in us. Rock bottom till we boss it up. Most wanted cause we floss too much. Maybe it's the young in us. What up, though? Earl Flinnin in my 10s, man. Park the vet, do my bop, cop a fit out of Northland. Top 10s in Soul Town, the Motown. City of Boom, back to Geek Town. Squote, in the world, I be top 10. No need for stress, cause I'm top 10. See me in my best, top 10. So historic when I'm stepping in my top 10s. Top 10s, top 10s, top 10s, top 10s, top 10s, top 10s, top 10s. Gotta stick with tradition, these buffs is all wood, OG, Cardi Vision. Chinchillas to the floorboard, look at that. 3 stripes on my feet, I'm a true player. Tracksuit, 10s, fat laces, Gazelle frames, I'm fresh. Y'all hating, watch, blue band, rubber cases. Dookie roast, too fat, posted at the races. Who else rockin' 10s like us? Can't copy originality, you win like us. Had to hit him, here, read a had it just to feel complete. I'm 3 stripes from my head, I'm down to my feet. In the world, I be top 10. No need for stress, cause I'm top 10. See me in my best, top 10. So historic when I'm stepping in my top 10s. Top 10s, top 10s, top 10s, top 10s, top 10s, top 10s, top 10s.
Hello?
I can hear you. Who is this? Who is
Hey,
this?
this is James.
James.
This is James.
James.
Yes,
Okay.
James Ballard.
James Ballard. Okay, what's up? You're on the
All
air.
right. The undercard. Are y'all wrong?
That's the wrong show, James.
That was
I'm
awkward.
lost. I'm lost.
You are lost. Correct
Yeah,
place, wrong day and time.
Huh?
What?
I'm lost. Am I calling on the radio station or am I calling Brad's number?
You're calling a radio station.
Well, what's up, y'all?
There we go.
Hey,
So,
what's up,
James.
what's up?
James, what do you
Yeah,
think makes
yeah.
the ultimate bachelor?
I can't hear you.
What do you think makes an ultimate bachelor?
Oh, that must be the topic for today.
It is the topic.
Yes.
Let's go.
All right, let's get it on. Okay. What would make the ultimate bachelor?
Yep.
For one, you got to be single.
Well, damn. That's important.
Okay, because all bachelors don't be single.
You right.
Ooh, dang.
Well, you know, they got these little cocky bonds running around. They can't, you know, don't work like that. All right, so I will say we'll start by being single.
Yep.
For two, if it's televised, you have to be a marketable, likable person.
Marketable,
And for
likable
three,
person.
you have to be genuine, humble, and down to earth. So you can relate.
I like
you
it.
can relate to some of the women and get compatible with most of them until he find the right one. He wouldn't be a good bachelor if he couldn't relate or if he couldn't vibe or fall to understanding with some of the women, arriving to a point to where he can come to common ground and they can meet up and take it from there. But that's my opinion of a noble bachelor.
For sure.
You know, that's somebody that's
Absolutely.
really-
Well, we
Yeah.
appreciate
that's
that.
somebody that's-
That's good on the fly.
It's pretty good. I'm glad you called in,
you know,
James.
that's a 10-star guy. You know, that's the type of guy you would want.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want nobody that's, you know, that's just making everything happen because you just got a lot of women and
That's the
Right.
flash.
got to
That's the
get the
flash I was
gab.
talking
Now
about.
that's
Yeah.
another thing too. If you got to get the gab, you
Right.
say anything and make it happen.
Mhm.
Hold on, James. You single
But as far
or
as
are you single or you
no,
got a girl?
no. I'm not single. I'm
I'm-
off the market.
Let's
in
be
a
very clear on that.
Making it
Wife,
known.
I love you. I love
Yeah,
you.
making sure she hearing right now.
I'm engaged. I don't want no problems.
Right.
But y'all got my opinion anytime y'all need it.
Okay, well, James' fiance, you got a good one. Thank you, James.
All right.
All
I
right.
got to tune in. Why y'all need to be on TV?
Thank you.
We're going to work on this.
Yeah,
We're going to
all right.
We're going to make this happen.
Thank you, James.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
You
You
too.
too.
Well, that was fun. So, all right. So, actually, he said something. Well, it's kind of the conversation that made me think something. I got a couple of topics or questions I still want to ask. But what defines single? I saw this meme on Instagram recently where it's like, okay, there's these different stages where you're like talking, dating, single, exclusively dating,
Yes.
in a relationship. So there are all of these situationships. There are all of these different terms, and you usually don't even know what stage you're in because people don't communicate shit.
Nope, not at all.
So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Jalen?
This
Oh,
sounds
wait.
touching. I think Jalen needs to
Oh,
speak about
yeah,
it.
I mean, I don't know why I just felt this energy. Like I needed to ask you, Jalen.
Jay, you got it? Oh, okay.
No, so
I
what?
got it.
Okay, go ahead.
Got it.
No, I guess single would be single. Like you're not talking to anybody or anything like that. I don't know. I just single just comes to my mind because I feel like if you're talking to somebody, then I mean it's kind of like you're trying to pursue that person. So it's almost like I don't know, a situation. I don't know.
I got it.
Go ahead.
Because you actually hit the nail on the head with the communication. You are single until you decide with someone you're not single. So don't ask me about anything unless I've talked to you about us being in a relationship. What you have is so many people afraid to have a conversation about what you are. And and ladies, if you're with a dude and you can't ask him what you are, then you're nothing. So
damn.
just to be very clear.
You need a ding ding on that one.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying because there's
that was kind of a hurtful thing. I feel like that hit a nerve somewhere within me. I was like, I ain't shit.
No, but there's two.
But
there's two sides. There's two sides to it. I'm saying, really, like, everyone is just scared to have a conversation, and I think a lot of times ladies, they don't want to have the conversation because they know the answer, and they don't want it to end whatever you are. But at the same time, if you haven't had a conversation with a dude, like, why are you holding him to your rules in your mind that you haven't discussed?
Because they don't want to come to terms with the truth that they're just friend zoned. I mean, they're just a friend.
Right. And so that's why so many feelings get hurt. Like, if you just had a conversation, you know where you're at. You can cut it off if you're not happy with it. You can keep it going if it's exactly where you want it to be.
Right.
But to me, I'm single until I've agreed with you that this is what we're doing.
Right.
I think everybody needs to kind of communicate and have the conversation ahead of time of what people define certain stages, because not everybody, defines their stages the same. Because, you're saying talking to me is like entertaining. It's not more so like a relationship. So it's just having those conversations ahead of time of what people believe, certain stages are to them, and then just kind of finding that common ground, really.
Yeah, I think as long as you're comfortable in just kind of going with the flow, then you're fine. But if you really are wanting something more out of it, I think it's important to discuss expectations kind of earlier on. And of course, you don't know. Well, according to you, right off that first date, you whether you can bring her home to mom or not. You don't necessarily know whether she's gonna be like your girlfriend, but you know what your intentions are. So rather than leading people on or just kind of going with it, actually having that conversation, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's just respectful. Like, I try to be very honest and upfront in my situations, like, hey, this is what it is, whatever. But that's why I always say, like, people, are you single? Are you taking? I'm like, I always say I'm dating, and that doesn't mean I'm necessarily dating. I just always say that. I feel like number one,
I feel like as girls go to.
Right.
Yeah, just like I'm
open to dating.
Yeah, because I'm just like that is just kind of a safe zone for me, and that's my go-to. And like Alex said, until discussed otherwise, until it's like, okay, this is how I feel, and that you might have that conversation, and maybe one person is ready for something more, and one person's not. You kind of, but you just, as long as you're open and honest about it, then it.
I think so many people get like up in arms about that though, because I'm obviously talking from the side of guys, like saying, if you can't have a conversation with a guy, then you're nothing. But it goes the other way too. Like, if a dude, like, if we go on a couple dates and I'm like, then like, what's up? Like, I'm like feeling you. I can definitely see a girl doing the same thing, being like, whoa, this dude's like all up on me, he's sweating me. I'm done with this. Yeah. Whereas he's trying to curb, and just like women do the same thing, they're trying to curb the crazy or the overbearing, right? Like, if I know where I'm at, okay, I can once again make my decision to do what I want to do from there. But I think people get like up in arms just when that conversation's tried to be had with them, and that's when I'm always like, you need to lighten up, like, chill.
Well, do you think people get like that because they don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, or like?
I'm saying, like, before you know somebody, right? So there's this in between, right, where it's, dude's cool, and I'm speaking from a girl's behalf now, just on experience that I've seen or conversations that I've had. But I can see a girl, and I'm grouping a lot of people in, but I can see a girl in that in between stage where she doesn't know if a dude is cool or not or whatever, feeling them a little bit, they're going out, whatever, and him trying to just like set the tone. And I've seen girls be like, well, now he's like sweating me, he's all up on me, he's doing all this, when he's really just trying to like figure out what what his name, does he need to go date somebody else if she's like, nah, I'm good. And vice versa. I mean, if a girl brings it up to a dude, I see dudes all the time be like, oh, now she hooked and all this stuff, right? When she's really just trying to decide, like, should she put more effort into this, should she put less, all those things. So it just frustrates me when people, and I know it's gonna sound redundant, when people get frustrated, someone's asking them, what are we, right? Like, especially after stuff has happened, right? If you've gone on 3 or 4 dates, like, I got to know what I'm doing. Like,
I think once you bump uglies, it's time to have a conversation. That's how I feel. I feel
100%.
Like once you have sex, it's like, okay, I'm the type of person, if I have sex with you, I'm having sex with you. I don't casually have sex. So I need to know, like,
what are we?
Yeah, because if I want to be able to depend on that, because I like it or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Then, like, I need to.
Because I like it.
Yeah.
You know, then I need to know that I can depend on that when I want it again.
Yeah. No,
I agree.
That's good. I think you should be able to have a conversation at that point. So, for
you
sure.
should, for sure. So,
unfortunately, that might come like 2 hours into knowing each other sometimes, but.
Oh.
Whoa.
What you mean, whoa?
Whoa,
like you don't know what I'm talking about.
Everybody face like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, I know what he's talking about.
Oh,
what you mean? You meet somebody and y'all go home. What's the
I've
whoa
never
about?
done that.
After 2 hours of knowing someone?
Oh, I thought 2 hours was generous. Sometimes you meet at the end. I'm not saying
never
that's not my move, but I'm
I've never
acting
had a
like,
one night stand. I don't know. Like I almost did once, and I went home, and then I was like, oh no, this is not. No, like, I'm sorry.
here's the
I didn't
thing.
know what happens in these
You got to see
situations.
the parking lot pimping. You
Right.
gotta
I
see the
thought we
parking
were
lot
gonna just
pimping.
like hang out and have tea or something. I wasn't sure.
You must not have heard that the firecrackers came to my table there.
Oh.
I'm playing. Anyways, what I'm saying is,
Oh man.
what I'm saying, y'all acting like I'm out there. Wait till people hear this. I'm saying that people meet, and you can't act like it's not a thing because there's a term for it. A one night stand, like
Right.
Very
so.
true.
Well, no, but see, but that's I just assume if you have a one night stand, then if you meet that person and you have sex tonight, I just assume
that was it.
That's what it was.
No, that's not always the case.
No, I've
I
hooked
know.
up with someone I ended up dating.
What's John Legend
For a long time.
what's her name?
His wife?
Chrissy Teigen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a one night stand and then they ended up being together, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. So like I know it happens, but I just would assume
And
that
we're getting our terms mixed, right? Because a one night stand is technically hooking up and then not talking again. I'm saying we're talking about if you're just talking about sex. People have sex the first night, and that doesn't mean that's all it's going to be. It's just we've had sex the first night, and that could come 2 hours into meeting each other. That could come in the bathroom at the club that we're at. So that's just life. Y'all are mad at me.
No, I'm not. I'm just. No.
Y'all surprised at me, engineer lady.
I'm just
Now
getting
you
into
listening,
this
huh?
flirty and thriving thing. So
We
I'm
got
still
you
kind of like.
now. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
So, well, that went off in left field. Anybody chime in on Facebook with some shit on one night stands? I don't know. Okay, anyway. Moving the fuck on. So let's talk about apologizing, because this was the only fucking thing that you put on our shared list to talk about.
Women apologizing?
Yeah.
I feel like after the comments I just made, I'm not really in the position to talk about it. But I will talk about it. I will. Once again, I kind of touched on this earlier, was women are the ones that are supposedly supposed to be so in touch with their feelings. I want to know how many dudes have actually heard, especially if they're in a relationship, their woman apologize to them for doing anything wrong.
Do you really feel like women don't apologize like that?
I really feel like women don't apologize. And I think it's because guys mess up so much that, like, when it comes time for them, like, they mess up. A lot of times they don't feel like they have to. But I have been in so many relationships with good girls that I'm like, have I ever heard them actually just stop and say, I am sorry for this? Like, they will go to the ends of everything to avoid saying, I'm sorry. Like, can you think of a time when's the last time you apologized?
Today?
To a guy.
Today?
To me?
No. I didn't even talk to you today. Well, I did talk to you for a hot second.
I'm joking.
But like, no, I haven't. I apologized today or whatever. I apologize.
For what, though?
Because
I'm talking about real apology, like mess up, real apology.
fucking probably yesterday or Sunday. I apologize every fucking day. I be fucking shit up.
Yeah. Well, you got
I apologize every day. I be like, listen, I am so sorry. I am an asshole.
I think I did apologize.
For what?
Today.
What'd you apologize for?
Something petty.
Right. That's not what I'm talking about.
I did. no, I apologize for deep things. Like I do, because I'm just like, you have to own your stuff, and I know it hurts.
Yeah.
Like I do. Like I feel like I probably over apologize. I feel like I'm
okay, that's true. Because some women do. Well, I think some women will take on the burden of something they shouldn't take on. But I'm talking about an actual mess up apology.
Yeah, I know I do
Jamie?
that, so I can't relate.
I can agree with you. Definitely, I can agree. I've never really sincerely heard a woman apologize in my personal experience. And, you know, if they did apologize, it really didn't sound genuine.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like going through the motions. And their actions didn't really align with the apology.
Right.
either.
So what is a genuine apology?
Yes.
So when I think about it, like I think about it because what's the thing a woman always wants when a dude messes up? It's like you can't even say sorry, and he's forced to say, and then you do not move on
Stop fucking up.
until
Fuck apologies. Don't do shit again.
right, true, but you do not move on until you hear a genuine apology and you truly believe it, and the actions line up with the apology. Like if guys waited for that, man.
I feel like you and I had a conversation one time. And you apologized. And he's like, "Well, I don't know what else you want me to do. I apologize." And I was like, "I don't give a shit about your apology."
No, because here's the thing. I make an effort to genuinely think through everything I say and think through the things I do, even if sometimes it's after the fact and because I was wrong. But if I'm given an apology, like I've gave you an apology, like I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. If I give you a genuine apology, like we can talk about it, but you can't expect me to like come out of the woodwork with something that's gonna make you feel better.
Yeah, from a female's perspective, apologizing, I feel like that too. Like, what else more can I do?
If it's genuine, though.
Yeah,
definitely.
Right.
Yes,
For sure.
If it's
To answer your question, though, a genuine apology is acknowledgement, and I think that's what you're speaking on.
Sure.
Is women do not they don't acknowledge the wrongdoing,
Mm-hmm.
but when we do something wrong, you force us to acknowledge the wrongdoing and apologize. That's what you're looking for, not necessarily the apology, but the acknowledgement of it.
Yeah, I think apology is like a sandwich. It's like the first part is acknowledging what you did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Then you actually apologize. I'm sorry. I regret that it made you feel this way. Because
Exactly.
even if you don't necessarily regret what you did, or you're not sorry for what you did, maybe you're just sorry that it caused them pain or it caused them confusion. Then you apologize for it, and then you wrap it up with, I will. You know, whatever your action is, your problem, your solve to the problem or whatever. Just like I will not do it again, or I will do my best, or I'll pay more attention, or whatever it may be.
Right.
I feel like that to me is a sincere apology, and then the carry through, of course.
Yeah, and I say, I how many times I've heard, well, I don't even know why you asking me about this because it's not half as bad as what you did. And I'm like,
Oh yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Petty.
And you know what? I will
wop.
say, a lot of women are in relationships with people, and I feel like. I mean, honestly, this was me and my ex-husband. It's like he messed up so much kind of in the beginning that I stayed with him, and he felt indebted to me. And he was like, no matter what I do, I'm never going to make it up. And I'm like, yeah, that's right.
but
like,
that doesn't mean you
it
don't owe him an
doesn't
apology
matter.
sometime, you know what I mean?
Well, for sure. And I did. But I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, it was just that is a burden I think a lot of relationships carry where one person is always indebted to the other person because they did something, and the other person is like, well, listen, you can't sweat me for nothing because you did X, Y, and Z. And I think, like, a healthy relationship, you have to like really forgive and let stuff go, and move forward. And there's not a tally. You did this, I did that, whatever.
Because you will never get anywhere.
For sure. And but so to the point that Jamie made, like, I think that's where a lot of stuff can linger in a relationship for a guy is because he never got the acknowledgement that she knew this was wrong. So then when it happens again, it's like, I told you about this. And she's like, well, why are you bringing up what happened last time?
Right.
And it's like, because you never mind.
Yeah.
And then it's a cycling.
Yeah,
For sure. So to
definitely.
that point, so like when men and women apologizing, we only have a couple of minutes left, but I just want to address really quickly alpha and beta roles. Like, I feel like a lot of men, well, I'll just say, like, I feel like sometimes in relationships there's a struggle for who wears the pants.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Like how to assert, or is it okay for women to be the dominant person in the relationship, or the leader, or the pants wearer, or whatever?
I've actually have been the dominant role, I guess, but not by choice.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's what it is.
Not
with
by
women. It's never by
choice.
choice, really.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm paying for stuff and I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
making choices,
Yes,
like leading
I'm
the direction
guy
of the relationship,
in the
family,
relationship.
yeah.
Yes. And then it was weird, kind of, when I get into a different relationship, and then it's like the guy is wearing the pants.
Yes.
You know, so it's like, well, I can do this because you're so used to it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I can do this. And they're like, no. What are you thinking? Like,
So how does a man who is dealing with a woman who's used to being the alpha role or who's used to being the leader in the relationship, how does a man kind of assert himself as that dominant person in the relationship?
I think that gets off to the wrong foot as well, right? Because I think that's something that should be communicated, right? If we talk about all these different situations, which is so hard, right? To just have a conversation. That's the hardest thing to do in a relationship. Have a real conversation where everyone shares their honest opinions and that kind of thing. So I think if you're communicating, I'm better at this, so I'm going to take the lead on this. Do you agree? You're better at this, so that's why I'm not doing this, because you're better at this. Do you agree? And that kind of conversation a lot of times will lead to something, that everyone finds their role. It's not alpha, beta. It's this is my thing, right? Like, I'm never going to have a woman mow my yard, like, just because that's my thing. Like, and I'm pretty sure
What
no
if she
woman
wants to?
I was just getting ready to say that.
I'm saying, like, if she wants to, like, I have a problem with it. Like, to me, in my mind, it's just like I mow the yard, and that's just one thing I'm thinking of. Like, and there's probably I'm old school with a lot of different gender roles too. But I communicate all those. Like, I don't expect you to do this, and this is what I expect I'm gonna do. You tell me what you think,
Right.
and let's go there. So.
What do you think, Jamie? Do you think that it's a way that you can kind of come into it and assert that lead role in the relationship, especially with somebody who's used to doing everything themselves?
I think it goes with having a conversation and getting to know each other. You kind of find that out. It's just by talking about your upbringings, parents, household, past relationships. So you kind of get a gist of kind of love language is kind of the roles that they played and the roles that the significant people played in their life as well that have an influence on them. So I would say that. Me personally, I'm big on equality. So, just kind of finding that common ground with anything, if it's something that you like to do or something that you're good at, let's both work on that. If we're both good at it, let's do it together. And if you feel like you want to do this one day, go ahead, by all means, just whatever to make the woman happy. But that's just me personally. But trying to find it can be difficult without communicating, really. And you really shouldn't force things like that either, So I feel like it'll come naturally, really, with communication and getting to know each other.
I don't know that I agree, but we don't have enough time to talk about it.
Until next time.
I appreciate the feedback. Maybe some of the listeners will agree with that. But, all right, so we're about to wrap up. I'm going to go around the table, give everybody an opportunity to just kind of, say any last words. If you want to shout out your social or your job or whatever you got to do, just do it quickly. Jalen.
Y'all know me. It's Jalen. Hey.
Jamie.
All right, it's AB, 30 Flirty and Thriving, or the best Amber across all social platforms.
And you can find me at Ultimate Bachelor at ULTBACH on Instagram, and then my blog is in the bio.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much.